we have to really look at what's coming in and how to handle it as it's coming in and making sure that we have clear processes in place.
Giving your team the opportunity to go through those things and practice, 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 because practice makes perfect.
I always look at those hard things like role playing as a challenge to learn from.
Hi guys, Stephen Harrington Dakota here with my friends Teresa and Bobby. Guys, today we're going to do a breakdown on customer service training, 10 things we should be looking on or 10 things we should be looking at when working with our service team. So does anybody have anything that they think is important when it comes to service?
Oh my gosh, so much.
All the things, all the feelings today, Teresa?
There's so much. I guess the best way to put it is think of all of the service that you have had in the past that has not gone well, and you want the opposite of that.
So I think to do that, we have to understand the basics of what service looks like for the agency, right? Like, what are the service standards we want to put forward? And I think it's also okay, and I'll probably get some hate mail about this, to have different service levels for different types of clients. Ooh, am I going to get some haterade? Maybe. Now, that's not to say everybody doesn't deserve service, right? But they all deserve the same kind of service. So that means the time waster that has emergencies all the time maybe isn't the best fit for my agency, because then another client's getting ignored. So when I'm saying different levels of service for different types of clients, it really is just saying, like, what does the streamlined experience look like? But we have to know what the culture is of the agency to be able to define that. Bobby, do you think it's important for the service team to understand the products and have some expertise in the carrier wishes or the carrier appetite?
Absolutely. And I think that sometimes that is the hardest thing for people to get their minds around, especially even if you have come from another independent agency into another independent agency, learning the carriers, learning the coverages, understanding what's available, what's not available, what legacy endorsements exist, which don't, what credits can I give over here, which credits, I mean, just saying all that makes me tired this afternoon. But I think what we have to remember is that we have to empower our teams with checklists and cheat sheets and things to really make their job easier so that we can create that really customer centric culture and put the customer at the center of absolutely everything that we're doing.
And without the knowledge or not knowing where to get the information, we normally don't have confidence. I think when we don't have confidence when we're servicing, that also creates other issues. Therese, how important is effective communication skill?
Very, very important. And I think this is something we just kind of we throw our staff to the wolves when they first start. I was a teacher when I went into the insurance industry and wasn't really good on the phone. I was good at educating, good at talking to people, but I didn't have good phone etiquette. So when I was talking to people on the phone, I had to kind of teach myself how I needed to have better etiquette on the phone. Hello, how are you? What my name is, use their name. So I kind of learned how to just basically talk to a client. So effective communication is very, very important. And we also have to know who we're talking to. Just like having students in a classroom, all the students are going to learn differently. Your customers are exactly the same. So number one, we need to look at our customers as opportunities. Every single phone call that comes in needs to be an opportunity, needs to be something we're excited about, not sad about, not upset about, not annoyed.
It should be like, don't answer, don't answer, don't answer. Or, oh, the phone's ringing again.
Exactly. Yes. So we need to have a good attitude when we answer the phone. And then when we do answer the phone, those effective communication skills of kind of gauging who we're talking to. And I think sometimes we can do that by listening. And sometimes we interrupt and we interject. And, I'm guilty. When long time ago, when I first got into the industry, I would, interrupt the client. But I learned that I needed to slow down. I needed to close my mouth and do the silence thing and listen to them and let them get out everything that they want to get out. And then when they're done, I would kind of do a summary recap of what they needed, what was going on. And that's the kind of communication skill that I think we need for our customers. We need them to know that we're listening And then we need to kind of throw back exactly what it is they're needing. So we're summarizing it so they understand that we're understanding what they're asking for.
Yeah. And I think that also then goes into time management, because I know that's some of the areas that a lot of team members struggle with, including myself. Like, am I always the most effective, or do I always manage my time the best? No. Sometimes I spend way too much time on some things and not enough on others. But we have to really look at what's coming in and how to handle it as it's coming in, and making sure that we have clear processes in place, I think, is another huge area. When we're setting service standards and when we're setting or talking to our team about managing their time or how to effectively handle those inquiries, do we have clear processes in place? Do we have a clear way that we expect it to be done? Or is it just, well, you know what to do? Because my idea of a good customer experience is probably totally different than Teresa's and totally different than Bobby's, right? We all have a different expectation. But if we all go to the same place and we have the same experience, we can't be like, well, my agent spent 3 hours talking to me. And Bobby's like, well, my agent took 2 seconds and then was like, okay, bye. So we kind of have to set some of those standards and have some training in place as well. I think another area that our team needs to build confidence in is technology and software. I think it's another huge thing that they lack. What is your thoughts, Miss Bobby, on technology and software?
Yeah, I think that, our agencies probably have pretty large tech stacks. And I think a lot of times sometimes our agencies have competing priorities. So I think it's really, really important that we provide really good training and utilization understanding for our end users so that they know what is expected and what is the minimum that we expect. We say to our service team, document the file, but what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Therese might document the file and say, called Stephen with nothing. Bobby might document the file and say, called Stephen, talked about Tina. She just went to training, had this, did that. And then you've got 8 million notes from one user and 2 notes from another user. And there's this big disparity in what's happening. So they need to know, how am I supposed to be using the software? What does it mean to be proficient? How do we track that data on adoption of software too? So as leaders and managers, we need to know, are our teams really staying current with that? Are they really utilizing the technology the way that we're expecting them to use it?
Mm-hmm.
And that way it helps us also determine when we do need a new piece of technology. But a lot of times we're trying to solve problems that can already be solved with the technology that we have just by simply training our users properly.
And I've got a comment on that. I think sometimes leaders forget, it's like they hear about this cool technology, and instead of checking in with their staff and saying, hey, what technology do we have that does this right now? What do you guys think about adding this other technology? Instead, they're just like, oh, technology, let's go get it. And they go and pay for it. And then they bring it back to their staff and they're like, here you go, learn it. And I think they don't consider the fact that they've got people in offices that aren't good with technology and it takes them a long time to learn it. So I think they need to evaluate the technology they have right now and review that technology and how their staff is using it right now and how capable they are with it before they go and get more and more technology. So training and understanding of the technology that's there. Because, and like Bobby, there's a ton of technology that they may have that they're not even using. And then they go out and buy another technology that does the same thing and they're double paying. But back to the point, basically, it's hard to get customer service reps into the right place. They've got to use all the technology and they've got to use it wisely, but they have to understand and have training to be able to do that.
And I think that, again, the whole theme is, or the whole point of the 10 things to train your team on is consistency and setting standards. I'm going to do a shameless sales plug real fast because we have the amazing 10 process pack that's available in our online school, where it helps you break down the process for like phone call answering and transferring. What is that? What should that look like for your agency? What should that client experience be for phone call answering and transferring? Payment. What is the standard for payment? If I'm telling somebody no cash payment And Susan next to me is taking cash in, hand over fist. We're sending mixed messages. But maybe it's because we both heard different things. We had the great example of person puts 2 words as a log line, like spoke to Mr. Great, what'd you talk about? Who's Mr.? Right? Like so many things. And then somebody else is writing a dear diary today in the latest episode of my life. And it's like way too much and super detailed, right? Like, where's that fine thing? So the next one we talk about is file documentation. Like, how do you adequately document? What are the expectations for documentation? How do we look at endorsements, process endorsements, or what does that process look like? We have proof of insurance and deck page requests. Why should we not just send off deck pages just because somebody wanted it? Thought provoking, right? Is it because they're trying to find coverage elsewhere? What do we need to do with proof of insurance? Should we show them the app? Should we give them the resources to find it on their own? We talk about cancellations and the new business process. Like, again, setting standards for the team so they know what to expect. We also look at renewals and renewal reviews, setting remarketing and rewrite standards, just making sure we're making it clear for the team of what the expectation is before we get in this funk of everybody's their own little island and they're all my customers, when really it's the agency's customers. And I think that again, we need to train on the soft skills, but we also need to train on the standard.
I think having a meeting of everybody and having them give an example of the most awesome customer service they've ever received from a certain company is cool. And then trying to match that customer service or one up it would be great.
We were talking about Uber drivers the other day. I was in Vegas at a conference and I had an Uber driver that was very questionable. Like, I was like, I am ready to push the stranger danger button on my phone, right? Like, I want to make sure I'm not getting kidnapped currently in this shady van that had like half the side panels missing from accident. And then the next Uber driver, I was like, oh, I've never been in a Polestar or whatever they're called, some sort of electric vehicle. And I was with a friend. And like, he's like, oh, they're really fast. He slams on the gas and we both get thrown to the side of the car. And we're like, that's amazing. Okay, great. Then the next one is like shows up 5 minutes late. He literally drove in a circle going at a snail's pace to the airport. He's like, you're not in a rush, are ya? I'm like, you're the one driving, sir. You're the one driving, right? So I think even asking your team about what Teresa's like similar experiences, even with the same thing, can vary greatly.
Yeah.
Another way to get your team comfortable, and one of Bobby's favorite things, and I know Teresa loves this too, although it's uncomfortable, is role play. Right? Let's have the conversations, get the team involved, and get them talking.
I think role playing and building out those scenarios and giving your team the opportunity to go through those things and practice, because practice makes perfect. There's never going to be a time where you're going to role play every single scenario, but it sure makes it easier for them to be able to pivot and have those conversations more effectively when they've had an opportunity to rehearse. So, we were talking to a group earlier today about, if you have a difficult conversation that you need to have, call your team into a meeting and say, hey, can we role play this out? And let's go through a few of these scenarios, right? Like, use your team for those opportunities and go through those things, because that's how we build our confidence. It's a lot easier for me to have those difficult conversations with people when I've had them 1 time, 2 times, 3 times already. We have to try something 10 times before we say that it's failed, right? So let's just try it. Let's go through it, and let's just keep trying to work the kinks out.
I have found in life that the things that are the hardest or the most challenging are the things that actually make us grow. So I am a martial artist. Am I saying that I'm not scared and nervous, or that I don't enjoy sparring? I don't enjoy self-defense, but I do it because I know it's necessary. I know that that's how I learned. When I moved to a foreign country, did I speak the language? Not at the time, I didn't, but I knew I had to practice it, and I was forced to speak it because that was the only way I was going to learn. So I always look at those hard things like role playing as a challenge to learn from. because we learn from hard things. And that's really important.
And even us as professional trainers, we still do role play all the time. We were at a same conference as the Uber experiences, and there was somebody came up to like, my team loves the role play video, right? Like the role play videos and your things are so great. I'm like, do you do role play with them? She's like, absolutely, all the time. Like now it's built into our training because once they have to say it to one of their teammates, then they get more comfortable saying it. Or if they say something weird or awkward and everybody giggles together, at least they got it out and they can remember the next time, how to better say it. And it's not always pretty or fun the first couple times you're learning something new. When I'm making something, it's not always pretty if I'd never made it before. But the second or third time makes it a lot better.
I thought it was interesting. Like we did a role play recently where, I tried a new technique and it was not received well, right? It was like, oh, the feedback from the person I was role playing with was like, oh, you know what? My wife got that question and she laughed at that. It didn't resonate well. So then I knew, okay, I had to change my approach. It's better for me to try that new approach in a situation where it might not cost me a sale or a client and do it with my team and see how it resonates before I try it in a live situation.
I agree. I think the important thing to remember is set some standards, set clear expectations with the team, hold them accountable, but also just let them know what they need to do, right? Go through the processes, go through the things, find out where the pain points are, and then really hold the team accountable to the training and making sure that they're understanding it and that they're continuously improving. Even if they've been an agent for 20, 30 years, they can still learn new things. There's still new things to try. There's still new things to do. They don't know anything and everything. And if they do, please have them call me because I have some questions, right? I have some very complicated insurance questions that might need to be answered by the all knowledgeable, knows how to handle every situation person. One of the role play things I love to do with teams is like I'll say, let's play Stump Steven. And the team loves coming up with the most wild, obnoxious customer stories or situations to try to get me flustered. I've had to take a deep breath sometimes and be like, you know what? I got this. Is it completely awkward and uncomfortable for me? Absolutely. But I've done insurance long enough to know that if I don't know the answer, I can find it or find somebody that might know. But I also know what the standards and expectations are for the agency I'm working with. So remember to teach your team through consistency. Remember to continually improve, do the role play, and just set the standards for even 2 or 3 things to start and build from there. What is anybody else's thoughts? Anything we need to add?
High expectations. Find those companies out there that do really well at customer service and copy them, mimic them, try to beat them, try to be better than them. Like people usually use Chick-fil-A and say it was my pleasure. So find those companies that do something really well and mimic it and try to do better than that. We're in customer service, and I think customer service has kind of done a thing like this where when I was in customer service when I was younger, it was really important. We had to treat the customer a certain way. Customer's always right. And then it kind of went down some. And I think it's coming back up right now. Now, I'm not saying the customer is always right, but we do need to give them excellent customer service regardless.
Well, and so to that point, I think, we also need to make sure that we are constantly checking in with our team, having those standards, giving them training opportunities continually so that they understand what good customer service means. Because a lot of times we'll walk into an agency and we'll say, why would someone pick your agency? Well, we provide good customer service. Well, what does that mean? And their response is, well, we pick up the phone. Well, is that truly good customer service, right? So they need some standards. They need to continually be refreshed. We can always do better. Always do better.
Well, thank you guys. We'll see you again soon. Until then, continue reading our blogs and reaching out to us when you need us at agencyperformancepartners.com. Bye.
We'll see you soon.